we're certainly excited to go to Auburn. Really fine football team, well coached, and play extremely hard. We used the bye week trying to get healthy. We feel like we're about as healthy as we've been since the beginning of the year, and we're looking forward to a great crowd there at Auburn and a fine football team.
We'll begin with Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Good morning, Sam. What does Auburn do offensively that causes you some concerns on defense? What are they doing?
Well, they're running the ball really well. Obviously, the biggest concern is Bigsby and Hunter. They're really good players. And then you go back to Ashford, and, we haven't seen a whole lot of running quarterbacks this year. And with him being a dual-threat quarterback, that creates a lot of problems for us. And they're big and physical up front, and they look like an SEC team. Their receivers are tall, and so those are the things. They run the ball extremely well, and their quarterback have great tailbacks, and with their quarterback being a dual threat, that certainly creates a new problem that we haven't had for a while.
Okay, and also wanted to ask you about adding some guys in the defensive backfield. Looks like Slusher might be close to back, if not full back, and then like Chavis and the two Johnsons, if you think you're going to get full participation out of that group.
I believe so. I think we'll be, again, as healthy as we've been all year. I think we're going to have everybody who's not out for the season. I think we'll have them back.
Yeah, and then just real quickly, what you saw out of those guys at practice so far this week?
Slush has been fine. I think he's been healthy to full speed and knocking the rust off a little bit. And the guy I like back there is doing a good job is McAdoo. We moved him over. I think he's playing well over there on that side of the ball. And Jaden seems to be back 100%, and so they had to knock a little rust off because they haven't played in a while. But other than that, they've had a really good week.
Next is Andrew Hutchison of the Best of Arkansas Sports.
Yeah, Sam, you just mentioned McAdoo. I know he's only been over there a couple of weeks, but is he getting close to maybe being where he could contribute there on defense for you?
I hope so. Very talented. He played, defensive back in high school as well as wide receiver. But his hand seems to be healing up as well, and he looks like a natural over there, and has really taken to, it's always a little bit different, whenever somebody asks to move over versus you moving them. And he saw an opportunity there, and he's taking full advantage of it. I like him a lot over there.
And then I also had a recruiting question for you. I think we asked you last week about the 23 class, and your priority is to keep them all on board. How difficult is that these last few weeks leading up to the early signing period to keep everybody locked in and ready to go for signing day?
Recruiting's a 2-3 year process, now, and hopefully we have enough of a relationship that, nobody leaves us at the end. We feel good about our class. But it's always a concern. We sent guys out on the road and they went to some 23s, we also went some 24s and 25s, but, you're consistent. Your recruiting is hard work. I'm sitting right here writing notes to 2023s. We text them every week. We talk to them. So it's just about communication and hard work, and I feel like we're doing fine there.
Next is Glenn Gilbo of Outkick.
Hey, Coach, what would you do with one of your players struck or pushed a fan in a postseason situation, would you consider a suspension, or just what would you do about that?
Oh, I don't know. Those would be things that, you'd have to probably check the history of the player and those things of that nature. Obviously, there would have to be something done there, but it'd be hard to say just right off the bat, but certainly wouldn't condone it nor want that to happen, and certainly something would have to be done.
Thanks.
Next is Bob Hope, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette.
Hey, Sam. How you doing today? Hey, I know Auburn's 4, but all 4 of their losses are to teams that are currently ranked in the top 25. I'm just wondering, does that maybe make their record look a little different, considering who they played?
Yeah, in all honesty, you don't really look at a team's record. You just look at the team on film, and Auburn's very scary. I think they're very talented on both sides of the ball. And, a lot of times it depends on when you get those teams. If you get them early in the season or you get them on the back end or whatever, you can make a run, and then you get these, top 10 teams later in the year, things of that nature. But we look at the team, and their team is scary because they've got a lot of talent and they play extremely hard. So being on the road too makes it even that much harder because Jordan Hare is a tough place to play, and I've been in there several times. So yeah, we don't really look at the record, but we do look at the team, and I think they're a really good football team.
And it's interesting, you were talking a second ago about writing letters or notes to recruits. I found that's kind of a lost art. I mean, just getting letters from people, period, cards and stuff. Do you find that kids that age still appreciate getting a paper, physical note or letter?
Well, it's something that I enjoy doing, first of all. I've done it my whole career as an assistant, as a head coach. I do believe, and because I've been in different homes where they have all the notes that I've written in a basket on the table, and so I know they're reading them. It's coming from me. The things I put in there are from my heart, what I mean. And I'll say this: when I get a letter that's not necessarily telling me how to do my job, I appreciate the letter and appreciate the things in the letter, and it means something to me. So it's something different, but I enjoy doing it.
Thanks.
Next is Steve Molto, WZZN.
Coach, hope you're doing well today, sir. It sounds like you're getting a lot of advice from Hog Nation there from that answer from Bob's question.
No, not necessarily.
I wanted to ask about your evaluation of what you've seen out of pressuring the quarterback, not necessarily sacks, but making the opposing quarterback feel uncomfortable. Where do you feel like you are on that side, Coach?
I think we have to be better at that. Certainly we have to be willing to play man coverage more and get after him. The problem with Ashford and Finley, for that matter, is they're very good runners. And, if you don't have somebody spying the quarterback, then you could have major problems if you can't get him on the ground. So we've got to be good at both those things. But, Drew Sanders I think he's still leading maybe the SEC in sacks and things of that nature. So he's a good player for us. We have to get him involved. We have to get, our best pass rushers on the field in those down and distances situations and third down. But I think, sacks not only are momentum changers, they're also, good for situations. In other words, they're going to lose 7-8 yards and things of that nature. So we need to continue to get more we're not where we want to be, to answer your question.
And finally, Coach, I can't help but ask, with all the news that's surrounding the Auburn football program, at least that we see from afar, from someone as a head coach of an SEC program, how much harder would it be if not everyone is pulling in the same direction, if you know what I mean, Coach?
Well, I think if we allow the what people say to affect the team, which it's hard not to, then you could have problems. I think Coach Harsin, I've watched his press conference. I think he's doing a great job in answering questions, and certainly his team's playing hard, so it doesn't seem like they're affected by all the noise. But I think it would make the job maybe twice as hard. I mean, it'd make it much more difficult if you're hearing all this outside noise. And they're still kids, so they're listening to things in that nature. But as far as that goes, I think they're doing an outstanding job, and I think Coach Harsin's a really, really fine football coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I want to start with Anders Carlson and congratulate him for being named one of the finalists for the National Football Foundation William B. Campbell Trophy Award. He's one of 15 finalists and the 5th Auburn player to ever be named for this honor. So we were able to congratulate him yesterday. Obviously, Anders is a great player for us, but done a lot of great things. So it was good to see him be recognized for that. The bye week has helped us. We had a good practice on Sunday. I thought we came out yesterday, and the guys were working hard and looking forward to getting back out in the field and back at home. It's been a month since we played at home, so it seems like the energy is there, and getting a few guys back and trying to heal up some of those injuries and some of the bumps and bruises from the season. Hopefully that week has helped us, and we continue to build on that this week. So, questions?
We'll begin with Nathan King of 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Brian, I wanted to ask about the status of A.D. Diamond. I saw that he's not on the online official roster anymore.
He's not.
What's his status with the team currently?
What's the status of our team?
The status of A.D. Diamond on your team, yes.
Yeah, he's no longer on the team.
Okay, thank you.
Next is Nathan King of, Tom Green of AR.com.
Hey, Brian. I was just kind of curious about your philosophy when it comes to redshirting players. How do you kind of handle those conversations, and how much input do players, particularly guys that may not be on the 2-deep or just on the scout team, kind of get in that decision-making process?
Yeah, we have obviously who has redshirt availability as a staff, and we talk about that as a staff. We know the amount of games, and so we really monitor that as a staff, and have done that every year, and certainly with the new 4-game rule, we've always paid attention to that.
Next is Bob Holt, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette.
Hey, Brian, how you doing? I was wondering what kind of challenge does Arkansas is pretty balanced on offense, running and passing. What kind of challenge does that present to a defense?
Well, the biggest challenge is they're really good. Their tailback, their quarterback, their wide receivers. I think their O-line, from what I've seen, I mean, they do a lot of really good things up front, and they're well coached. So, and the tempo of their offense too. They got creativity. I think Bryles does a really good job with what they do on the offensive side. So the balance of the run game with the QB, the backs, the sweeps, different ways they get guys the ball. And every week it's a little different. I think the creativity they bring, you got to know your assignments. And then they have really good players to get the ball to. And then from that, the pass game opens up. And they try to keep that balance, like you said, and from what I've seen, pretty consistent.
I think they're just overall, they have a good system. They got good players, and then they utilize them well, and then they got different wrinkles every week. And, certainly coming off a bye week, they've had a chance to get some guys healed up, and then, they're going to have probably some things they look at, and maybe they come out, a little different package. And so there's just going to be some things we got to be ready for that they've had a little longer time to work on. And same with us. We had a bye week as well, so the matchup that way with two teams having the bye week is going to be, the challenge in the game for both sides, with getting some guys back and some of the new wrinkles that each side comes up with at game time.
And then number 5 for Arkansas, Rocket Sanders, he's having a big year. What do you see from him?
Well, I think he's having a big year. I mean, he's a really good player. I think he's explosive, and he runs hard. I mean, from what I've seen, I think he's got really good vision. And he's one of those guys that, he's not a guy that usually goes down in the first tackle. So in order to slow him down, you got to get multiple players to the ball because he runs hard. And so that's the challenge there is getting him, getting one-on-one. I mean, you got to be ready to make that open field tackle, and you got to be ready to tackle a guy that's really trying to make it really difficult on him to get him down. And then you got to get other guys to the ball to have success against him consistently. And then just, he's also, I mean, he's a weapon, in the pass game and in other areas as well. He's just overall just a really good football player, and he seems to make things happen when the ball's in his hands and they try to get him the ball.
Thanks.
Next is Nevias Wilborn of AL.com.
Hey, Bryan. Hope you're doing well today. Just want to ask you, there is a report on one of the websites saying that you are allegedly denying red shirts to players if they aren't medical. What's the truth with that, if anything? And I guess just to follow up, just in general, what's the overall process when you do come up with those decisions?
Well, like I said earlier, we obviously, every player that comes in, we know who has them, and we monitor that, and we do every single week. And, and it all goes back to, what is needed and who's out there also, putting themselves in a position to be able to play and who can help us play. And so we monitor that as a staff, and we continue to monitor that with guys. And if they're not going to be able to go out there and play for us, then, and there's guys ahead of them, and they're young players, they have a redshirt year, and that's usually when they're able to use it. But overall, I mean, every guy that comes in here, they're coming in here to play. And, that's what we go through every single week is, what is that plan and how do we utilize our players to help us and their teammates to be successful and go win ball games. And then, the coaches monitor, all right, how many times those guys have played, how many games those guys have played, and how much we need to use them. And at the end of the day, I mean, guys are here to play, and we want to make sure that, we allow our guys to do that.
So as far as the report?
Yeah, I don't know what report you're talking about.
From SI? Okay.
Next will be Steve Bolta, WZZN.
Coach, appreciate the time. I wanted to ask about the offensive line in particular, and certainly injuries have played a role with Tate Johnson. But overall, how do you think your O-line has progressed this season, Coach?
Well, it did hurt. Tate was just coming on, and it was good because he had worked so hard to be in that role, and he was really – I thought he was excelling in that center position. And so, when he got hurt, not just for the O-line itself, but just for him, that was tough. I think Council's come in and done a really good job playing center. He's communicates well. He's getting more comfortable in that position. And then Brendan Coffey coming into play, Jeremiah Wright. So we've had some guys. We've had some things. We've had to move guys around. Killian's probably been the most stable out of all the guys. But we'll get some guys back and healthy for this week, so our depth will be better. But overall, I think those guys are improving. I think we showed that in the last game, just running the football. We still have a ways to go. I don't mean in a bad way, just where our expectations and standards are. And I think Coach Friend does a really good job with those guys and every day, working them and putting our O-line in a position to be successful, run game-wise and pass game. So, we are continue to be a group that is progressing. And that's the best way, I think, for our football team and everybody as the season goes on. Everybody's trying to make progress. And we are at the O-line, and this is another opportunity against Arkansas, against a really good defense, to be able to go out there and see, all right, how far we come from where we were in the last game. What has the bye week taught us, and what have we done to take advantage of that time to better ourselves up front so that we can be effective with the O-line. And I think the guys are working hard at that. And I appreciate their efforts and feel like we've seen improvements from that group, and I'm excited to see these guys go play again on Saturday.
Coach, you also mentioned after the Ole Miss game of how close this team is to turning the corner. How close do you think, heading into this matchup, you think this squad is to turning the corner?
Well, and when I say that, I'm speaking from my terms and what we talk about in our program, because we get to watch the games. We get to see what some of the issues are and areas that we do some things really well and some of the areas that we have to do them better, period. And so when you go back and look at, all right, here's the fixes, here's some of the things that we can correct, they're very correctable. And, it's a matter of, can we do those things? Sure we can. So to me, when you start to really break it down and you analyze, all right, the facts, and you look at what we can do and how we can improve in those areas, we're closer than we are further away. And it's just a couple things here, put our guys in a better position, put ourselves literally in a better position in the game as a player, whatever it is. I mean, that's football. And every single week you go back and analyze, all right, what did you do well, what you didn't do well? And as you look at it, I mean, these guys they're out there giving effort. They're out there, these guys that are on the field, man, they're giving everything they got to prepare themselves to go out there and play. And now it's, all right, how do we put that effort and assignments and plays, schemes, all those together, when we watch that film and say, okay, we're just, this far away, but that small little gap, it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of detail, and takes a lot of focus. And that's where you go back to work every Sunday. And that, to me, is the beautiful part every single week. It doesn't matter the previous game. It doesn't matter your record, whether you're undefeated or not. Every single week, you got to go back to work, and you got to look at the things you did well and continue to build on those, and look at the things that you didn't do well and make those corrections, and then move forward making new mistakes. That's how you're getting better. If you're not making some mistakes, you're not getting better. You just got to make new ones. And that goes for coaches, me, players, everybody. And so when you look at it, you see that I see that we're a lot closer than we are to being successful in a lot of those areas than not being. And I believe that with our team. So, the progress in some areas has been really, really good. In some areas, we need to be much better. And I think that's obvious. And our players know that too. And that's the thing. When they know that, coaches know that, we all know that. Now we have a plan we can go work on, and we can get a lot closer to being a much more productive football team when we step out in the field on Saturdays.
Thank you, Coach.
That's all your time, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.